Hello and welcome to a slightly delayed highlights reel for some midweek games. I think it would have been better off with my narration for the games that finished yesterday, which were pretty exciting across League 1 and League 2. Today we've just got the one League 2 game, but also some FA Cup fourth qualifying round games for some of the National League Prem sides, well, all of them, and then Champions League results and a Europa League result as well. So that's the reason I've come on today. It's just the assortment of games, I guess. Go straight in, hopefully, to the League 2 game. It would be good to keep all those together if possible, in the right order. But of course, they've sent us immediately somewhere else into the FA Cup action. So yeah, I'll come to this a bit more sort of league context when we're in the AFC Wimbledon against Hart Chamberlain game. But yeah, you'd hope for the 6 of us involved in FA Cup qualifying action, it should be quite routine, famous last words. Interesting to see how much rotation there will be for the teams, because they're all up against either under 21 opposition, which I think I've explained in the past, they're not actual under 21 teams. I just had to populate the Panorama North and South with sort of created under 21 sides. So this is a Burnley. Yeah, these were people that didn't sort of make the Burnley senior drafted teams, I guess, but were in the Burnley team at the time and under 21. But yeah, they're all up against either teams like that, or you'll notice like the 24 teams, which are generally the senior teams from the 23-24 season. So I think we've got a couple of those as opponents as well. The actual draw for the first round's already been made. It's just dependent on these results as to where some of them fit in, so I'll share the draw with everyone over the next couple of days. In terms of that possible rotation, to be fair, Marshyside has put out a pretty top side, especially having Van Nistelrooy up front seems a bit unnecessary. But the likes of Kudicini, Skirtle, Semedo, Johnny, Ugarte, all the midfield really, and Marmouche, you'd say they're probably more bench players rather than starters. Soyuncu as well. So we're not really expecting these to be the most exciting of games, but necessary to get these guys involved, and it's really the only chance the 6 National League Prem sides will have to face off against those of us in League 1 and League 2. Obviously won't be in League Cup action, so it would be good to keep them involved as long as possible, see where they're at. I was about to say it's all been pretty routine. Hopefully still will be the case. And it is. Van Nistelrooy given a full 90. I suppose justified with the goals. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else. Mourinho could have started. The likes of Højlund, Xerxes, they spring to mind. But he's through. First round berth waits for Marshyside. Of course, just to make things a little bit more complicated, they're going to now throw us into League Two rather than staying in the FA Cup. Quick look at that league table. So Ziggy's only 3 points away from the playoffs. Lawrence's White Hart Chamberlain very much in the automatic hunt at the moment. Yesterday's game saw a new league leader in the form of Aston. Admittedly, I didn't play yesterday, so I do have a game in hand still, but Aston and Dan City Cowell's victories have put them 1 and 2. But alongside myself, Lawrence really has been in the early running. Put maybe Warringham in that hunt as well. It's a lot tighter this year than last so far. And actually, you wouldn't rule out the home side here either. And I think they were the last team to actually lose a game this season. It's just suffered from quite a few draws. Don't look like they might draw today though. Zig, yeah, sacked Kenny Dalglish after season 1, narrowly avoiding relegation, and brought in Arne Slot, as you might expect from a Liverpool fan. And actually, alongside the Red Wall and Arsenal, they've all completely reversed their form from last season. All just barely kept their heads above water in season 1, all within sort of the automatic / playoff hunt competition at the moment. And actually, none of them really made wholesale changes over the summer either. Minus the manager, in this case. White Hart Chamberlain, on the other hand, had quite a drastic overhaul of the summer, concluding with the introduction of Isak up top. I won't say to do me a favour, because he's obviously inherited a quality, albeit sneaky, lazy striker. But he did let go of Les Ferdinand the other way. He's hit the ground running for me, to be honest. Bit of a word of warning to the home side. I think White Hart Chamberlain have won 2 of the last few games, 5-4 and 3-2, in not dissimilar circumstances to this. That's a warning shot from Toby. Could be on the cards again. Come off the hour, come off the slab head Maguire to firm things up. And there it is. And based on the past few weeks, you wouldn't put it past him getting a third either. Freddie Canute barely on for Isak, straight into the mix. Bit of an unfortunate deflection if you're Ziggy, but this game's there to be won, you'd think. is. Onside. Very impressive subs from Pochettino. Canute involved. Ali very much involved. It's quite a remarkable run of games he's on at the moment. Sort of like Kevin Keegan's entertainers from the 90s at the moment. And that puts him very much among the automatic places. So now we're sort of scooting back to less glamorous surroundings for the remaining 3 FA Cup games. So you'll notice there are a few more familiar names than the under-21 side at Burnley earlier, especially if you are invested in EFL football. So this is essentially Bolton's 23-24 squad in real life, with the addition of anyone they've signed in the game. Remarkably, it doesn't seem to have drawn in a massive crowd. That crowd turning out at Rossett Park. I think I've covered that one in previous Gourlayverpool games. Thomas Gourlay was one of the newcomers over the summer. Decided to take Liverpool E in his late draft as his team, with everything that comes with it. It includes Rossett Park and a certain Noel White, never heard of him, as the owner. And a few inherited players too. Including the likes of MATTch, who's played, Quansah, who's playing today. Sadly not seen the likes of Neil Mellor or Dossani yet. I think Kelleher in goal has had a few games actually. Not sure if he's playing today or if it's Craig Gordon. Don't think Bolton have... Yeah, it is Gordon today. I think Bolton have pressured enough to actually see their goalkeeper yet. The problem with these one-sided games is that you kind of want them to be done quickly, but because there's such a barrage and there's so many highlights, you could end up with a 10-minute game. There's only so much I can say about Bolton of this era. I can say a bit more about Gourlayverpool though, in that they are, like all the newcomers really, very competitive down in National League Prem. I think he's about 4th at the moment. Definitely beating one of the relegated sides from the first year of drafting. So about 10 points off the one automatic spot at the moment, but very much expected to be involved in the playoffs next summer. Don't know who Mr. Baxter is in the Bolton goal, but he's having a great game. one vaguely interesting player actually for Bolton is Alex Mighton, who technically is part of the NottinGiant Forest drafted team as an inherited player when he took Nottingham Forest B, but he led him out on loan to this Bolton side. Other than that, very little interest carried by the team in white. Unfortunately, we'll barely have to see them ever again, because it looks like Gourlayverpool have also secured their place in the first round. I mean, there's a commentator's curse, but I didn't think this was possible. Also didn't really think this would be the reason for the elongated highlights. Very unlikely comeback. As the class of 2024 League 1 Bolton start to take apart some of the best players the Premier League's ever seen. And Craig Gordon. I think he's hopefully going to hold on, Tom. Bit tougher than expected, but another team in the first round. The aforementioned NottinGiant Forest, not with Alex Mighton. The next up to face sort of under 21 representatives might be a couple of. I think Louis Barry is quite a known name. They've also brought in Mason Burstow, it looks like. I don't know if our resident Villa fan Paul will know any of the others. I'll be focusing mostly on the away team, which again isn't hugely rotated by Nigel Clough. Always an honour to see Tony Yeboah. Still haven't quite fathomed why he's taking their penalties. I think he took one a couple of weeks ago as well. Maybe that's the reason. Harry Maguire-esque thump into the top corner. In terms of rotation here, I think the assist maker there, Morales, is one that would fit that bill. I think Leon Bailey on the other wing as well. Flamini possibly in the middle. Don't think we've seen too much of him. Strikers on the other hand, I think it's Been a bit of rotation between Morientes, Vialli and Tony Yeboah. Dion Dublin, the one missing out usually amongst the quartet. Aboué, I don't think we've seen much of him either. Slightly objectionable Brian Roy as well. We've seen less of him than the authorities in Netherlands in recent times. We'd love to see that, even if it's offside. Textbook Tony. Even though these under-21 teams or 2024 teams have been designed to bolster the full pyramid, they do still have sort of the infrastructure and managers and everything that would have been available to draft. So in Aston Villa's case, they got Steven Gerrard as manager, or they did have at least to begin with. I think they still have Tony Zia as owner, and they play at the Bescott Stadium, which by the looks of it is pretty sizable. I can't believe that's accurate. In fact, it just looks like Villa Park, so I don't know if there's been a bit of a glitch in the matrix there. Or maybe just because it was such a big game, the parent club allowed it. Another one safely through. So the fourth of 6 National League Prem teams, but the final full highlighted game. A couple of recognisable names in there amongst the Man City under-21 group. But they are coming up against a team that still haven't lost this season, I don't believe. I think they've only dropped 2 points all year, 1 draw. They have rotated this side quite a lot, but based on Craig's draft, you'd think they have it in hand. Yeah, the likes of Jan Kutu, probably one of the better under-21 members. Not as good as D'Alessandro though, for those who remember him. A couple of good years at Portsmouth. Doing pretty much that. The same way that James Ward-Prowse often does that. Just a reminder after this game, a couple of other FA Cup scores just to round up, where hopefully we can complete 6 out of 6 advancees. Then going to the Champions League, where both myself and Matt Warrington's Warringham have been in action again. And then the Europa League, where last year's FA Cup winner Dan City Y continue their campaign. sign off after that with a quick look at those European League tables. That'll be Wednesday caught up with. Based on the performances so far this season amongst the National League Prem sides, it shouldn't come as a surprise that otbCraig are handling this far more adeptly than anyone else so far. Still got Manchestaff United's attempts and LuTom as well. I think also they're up against teams of a similar ilk to this. So in theory there shouldn't be any reason why we don't have all 6 through to that first round. Where the other 24 of us await. 22 I should say. That is expansive football. MATTch has been one of the finds of the summer actually. It's interesting, probably in his day the number 10 wasn't really so much a thing. You either had a supporting striker or you were a winger like he often was. Turns out he'd have loved it. Not sure if there are any fun Norwich names amongst the bench that we might see in the second half. It's only Chris Coleman to have come on so far. Just looking amongst some of those inherited players. Who could we see? The likes of Adam Drury, Tim Closer, Mario Vrancic, Jamie Curitan, Leon McKenzie would be fun. Not sure whether Sven could be bothered with any of those even in this competition. It's good to see Raw Fox get a run out for Norwich City yesterday. Dalian Atkinson and Jonathan Rowe. That's who we've been blessed with instead. I was quite surprised Atkinson's not seen more action, but such was the strength of his draft. Can't do any wrong at the moment. Four out of 4. Let's see if we can get it to 6. LuTom, that's 5. Genus and a Rosler brace. Again, sort of medium amount of rotation, I guess. It's probably one of the more dangerous sides, actually. It's a Birmingham team that ended up on the cusp of promotion. Manchestaff. Oh, you're joking. How on earth has that happened? Well, seeing Paddy McNair get a yellow card might answer part of that question. Outside of that, though, that team should have been good enough to go through. Alas, only 5 of the 6 go through to the first round, and only 27 of 28 will be in that round. I'm going to move it on slightly. The Champions League games normally take a second. Solid draw for Warringham away at Feyenoord. No guesses as to who Matt's scorer was. And how did I get on? A loss away at Sporting Lisbon. It's looking increasingly unlikely that I'll retain my Champions League title. No idea who Mr. Bottraby at right back is. Never mind. Down to the Europa League. Mr. Wyman. An uninspiring 0-0 draw in Austria. Again, we're sort of forced into rotation here because of the registration rules. The way I created this database is that everyone has basically landed in the football world for the very first time, so no one's got any history of training in a certain club or country, so I think we can only really register about 16 players. Go back up to the league tables. So yeah, I'm just hovering just outside those potential promotion places. Warringham are 18th, both for slacking behind Sheffield Wednesday A and Sunderland A are having a great time in the Champions League. Burnley A as well. Of course, because they were bumped up to the Premier League when we took our place in League 2 and went on to occupy the top 4 or top 3. Everton B as well. There you go. All doing better than me. And then the Europa League. Wyman, meanwhile, behind Watford A, who topped the table, but ahead of Portsmouth. Who else have we got in here? Is that it? Yeah, just those 3. Faring better than the 2 of us in the Champions League. So yeah, that's, I think, just do a quick inventory check. Everything from the Wednesday rundown. I'll be sending through the scores from Louis' Europa Conference League journey to Israel. And then we've got a full Saturday rundown of games, which will be featuring League 2 more than anything, because we've got League 1 and National League Prem midweek the following week, so we're going to focus a lot on League 2. And that's all to come on Saturday. See you then.